Hi, I'm Martin Felsen. Welcome to CityDesign, the channel where we explore how we shape cities and how cities shape us. Today's question is, what are cities doing to make housing more affordable? One reason that housing costs so much is hiding in plain sight: parking. For decades, cities have required a specific number of parking spaces for every home, office, and store. Consider Marina City in Chicago. To satisfy local mandates at the time, the first 19 floors of the Twin Towers are helical ramps of parking, entire podiums devoted to cars rather than more homes or offices. Parking minimums arrived in cities like Chicago in the 1950s when the post-war boom incentivized families to move to the suburbs and shop at the mall with plenty of free parking. Meanwhile, in cities, officials predicted gridlocked streets. They thought, if everyone is driving, every new building must make its own space for cars. It felt fair, even modern. Solve congestion without raising taxes, pass the cost along to each project, and keep the streets moving. The policy succeeded. It produced lots of parking, but it also produced a cascade of hidden costs. Builders poured money into pavement, driveways, ramps, ventilation, and long structural spans. Ground floors that could hold homes or shops turned into garages. These costs rolled into project budgets and then inflated rents and real estate prices, and they stayed there. Parking isn't just a line of paint on asphalt, it's expensive space. America may have around 1 billion parking spaces. That's a staggering amount of land and infrastructure, and much of it sits empty much of the time. Let's talk construction price ranges. Surface parking can run roughly $4,000 per parking space to $30,000 per space, depending on site and where it's located. A structured garage often costs $30,000 per parking space, upward to $60,000 per space, depending on how complicated it is to build. Underground parking can climb to $40,000 per parking space to well over $75,000 per space once you include things like excavation and code-required safety standards. Prices swing by city, site, and design, but the basic story holds. Required parking is not free, and when it's mandatory, we all pay for it with rent and real estate prices. Over the last decade, many cities have started to rethink the parking rulebook. If we stop forcing parking where it's not needed and let designers size it to actual demand, we can build more homes on the same sites and lower the cost of each one. Chicago offers good examples. At 1611 West Division, builders placed 99 rental homes next to a subway station with 0 on-site parking, taking advantage of transit rather than duplicating it with costly car space. This helped the developer hold down monthly rents. Montrose Green sits by the elevated subway line. The 24-unit plan first required 24 parking spaces, consuming the ground floor until a costly appeal cut parking and made room for a lively storefront. In Charlotte, North Carolina, the CYKEL apartment building fits tightly between single-family houses and a rail line without a bulky parking lot. It has 104 homes built for cyclists and transit riders. No on-site parking was required. Before reforms, parking codes typically look like this: 1 parking space per apartment, 2 per house, a space for every few office desks, a space for every few restaurant tables, a space for every handful of church seats, and 4 spaces per bowling lane. They're minimums, not maximums, and many projects built even more. So what happens if we lift those parking minimums in the right places? We cut concrete, we cut costs, we unlock homes. Let's zoom in on cities that made big parking changes and why it matters. This past July, Chicago eliminated parking requirements near mass transit. If a building sits within roughly a half mile of a rail stop or a quarter mile of frequent bus service, developers are free to build fewer spaces or none at all. This aligns with how people actually move. Roughly 1/3 of households in Chicago don't even own a car. Before the change, we built parking spaces everywhere, behind 2 flats and 3 flats, in every podium we could, with green backyards sacrificed to gray asphalt. Now, the ordinance sets a clear goal: build more housing, especially affordable housing, in a city that needs roughly 125,000 more affordable rental apartments. And the rules let Chicago stop tearing down historic buildings just to meet a parking quota. Before cars and before parking mandates, the city was filled with buildings worth preserving. Chicago's courtyard apartments are beloved for their air, light, and shared gardens. They were built with zero on-site parking. Across the country, many admired buildings came from the same car-free rulebook. The Brewster Apartments in Chicago, the Dakota and Apthorpe in New York, where residents once stabled horses nearby, the Cairo in Washington, D.C., so tall it helped trigger the city's height limits, and the Bryson in Los Angeles from the streetcar era. These buildings prove that great housing doesn't require a parking garage to be livable, desirable, or lasting. Even in New York City, the City of Yes plan is already having an impact by allowing additional stories on existing buildings near subways. Los Angeles shows another path. New state rules waive required parking for many ADUs within a half-mile of major transit. In addition to creating more housing, ADUs offer opportunities for homeowners to earn rental income or work from home. Parking reform isn't anti-car, it's pro-choice. More than half of U.S. car trips are under 3 miles. If alternative mobility options are realistic and the streets are safe, many trips, especially short ones, can shift to walking, biking, or transit. That's a lot of small changes at the margins that add up to something bigger. If we believe cities are for people first, then updating parking rules is one of the most direct ways to add homes, lower housing costs, and strengthen neighborhoods. Thanks for watching City Design. If you're enjoying these episodes, please like, share, and subscribe. See you next time as we keep exploring how we shape cities and how cities shape us.